Welcome to Lutherans Alive. This is the program that seeks to tell the stories of Lutheran Christians and their ministries here in southwestern Pennsylvania, believing that God is doing wonderful things through us. I'm Pastor Tony Schneck, and today with me on the program is Marta Spangler. Marta comes from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and she has a very unique position in that she serves as the Associate for Advancement for the Lutheran Seminary at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Marta, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And tell us first a little bit about where it is you come from. You are from Gettysburg, the town of Gettysburg, and also are employed by the Lutheran Theological Seminary at Gettysburg. Tell us about the town and the seminary.
Well, I moved to Gettysburg when I was about 13 years old, and so grew up and attended high school in the town of Gettysburg and enjoyed very much being there and being a part of the seminary community there. Gettysburg, of course, is well known to many as being a place that is a crossroads in history of the battle of the Gettysburg Civil War battle. And of course, the seminary itself is in a strategic place in Gettysburg, being the ground of the first day of battle took place right on our seminary campus. And so it has a long historical tradition in the Lutheran Church. It is the oldest Lutheran seminary out of the 8 in North America. And so we carry on a tradition and take very seriously the stewardship of that land and that space as a part of that.
And of course, there is a connection here in southwestern Pennsylvania. Of course, a lot of our local pastors, including myself included, we have graduated from the Lutheran Seminary there at Gettysburg and have come to serve here in southwestern Pennsylvania. You are considered a deployed staff person in that you currently have an office here in our Synod headquarters and are serving on the territory of our southwestern Pennsylvania Synod. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do as an associate for the seminary?
Absolutely. Basically, I'm a deployed staff person, as you said, and what that means, this is a new position for Gettysburg Seminary, something that we haven't done before, and we're doing that as a part of our comprehensive Crossroads campaign as another way to engage and be in relationship with the Synod here. And certainly the Southwestern Pennsylvania Synod has been a strong supporter of Gettysburg Seminary as its mother seminary. But also many of our graduates, as you mentioned, come here and serve here in southwestern Pennsylvania. And we also have many students who come, obviously, from this area too. So we've had a strong connection with southwestern Pennsylvania for a long time. And so it made sense as we moved into campaign to think about staffing a position here. And I was very excited when that opportunity came to me. I fell in love with the Pittsburgh area as a student at the University of Pittsburgh. And so this was an opportunity for me to stay in the Pittsburgh area and to continue serving for an institution that I consider very near and dear to my own heart. So it was really the best of both worlds for me as I began and embarked on this position. And it offers the opportunity to be in closer relationship with congregations and to offer them resources and to find out more about the ministries that are happening in this synod and to be present with this synod in a way that we haven't really been able to before. So that's very exciting for us.
What kinds of things do you find yourself doing as a part of your work here in southwestern Pennsylvania? Are you visiting congregations, and what sort of things do you do as you visit congregations and as you serve as a resource person?
Well, I spend a lot of time, of course, talking to pastors and trying to engage congregations in conversation about how they can be partners with us at Gettysburg Seminary. I have the opportunity to visit with councils, with leadership groups, committees, and talk to them about the ministries of Gettysburg Seminary and what exactly it is that we do, and all of the services and resources we have also for lay people as well as for pastors and rostered leadership. So that's exciting and fun for me to do. I also get the opportunity to coordinate visits. So I have volunteers, other alum who are making visits on behalf of Gettysburg and witnessing to their own support and the support of their congregations in this synod, and asking for congregations also to become involved in partnership with that ministry. So that's very sort of the basics of what I do, but I also have opportunities to do adult education hours, preaching, all of those kinds of things on behalf of Gettysburg Seminary, which I enjoy very much. So
it may be helpful for our viewers to know a little bit more about the work and ministry of the seminary itself. You began to say a little bit about that in terms of seminary being a place where pastors are trained. Typically that's what people associate with a seminary after one has a bachelor degree of some kind, and that could be in any field, doesn't necessarily have to be in religion or theology, but if someone comes to the seminary after completing a bachelor degree and then engages in additional study, sort of graduate, postgraduate study, so to speak, at the seminary. Could you say a few words about the programs of the seminary, the ministry, not just for pastors, but as you say, the rostered lay people and other things that are going on at the seminary?
Absolutely. We obviously are a place that hosts theologians, and so not only are we doing the work of training leaders for the church in the future, but we also are engaging at all times members of the community, and we welcome folks to come visit, attend lectures, attend series of classes should they be able. We the majority of our students are pursuing a Master's of Divinity degree, which would be a call to ordained ministry. But we do have associates in ministry who come through and graduate at Gettysburg Seminary, or diaconal ministry, which is actually, we are the seminary that focuses on diaconal ministry, and raising up leaders who are trying to engage congregations with the greater world in very specific focuses. And so diaconal ministry offers someone the opportunity to explore something that might be very, very interesting and much more focused for them in social justice ministries and youth ministries, and they have the opportunity to really design that more specifically to their interests. But also we have conferences where we offer the Lay School of Theology, which we have a pretty regular group that participates in that every year, as well as our Luther Colloquy or other opportunities, our Spring Colloquy, to invite people to come to campus and experience what's going on there. We've started a partnership with Philadelphia Seminary, which is the Theological Education with Youth program, which is a part of our campaign here in southwestern Pennsylvania, which invites youth to explore theological issues with seminary faculty and college faculty, and also seminarians, to engage in a dialogue and really deepen their own understanding of the Lutheran faith and tradition. And that's a really exciting and transformative program for young people. And we're celebrating 10 years of that program. And so that's another way in which we're trying to engage young people who might be seeking ways to explore vocation. And so that certainly engages them in the thoughts of whether or not they might want to follow a call to public ministry, or to determine what their vocation might be, should it be something else. And so those are just a few of the opportunities that we have at the seminary. And basically, I invite anyone, if they have questions or would like to come visit, we are happy to host and really enjoy the opportunity to share what's going on our campus.
Certainly there has been an effort in recent years to try to invite more younger people to consider full-time vocations in the church, but there's certainly a mix at the seminary of younger folks and older students. Perhaps sometimes they're called second career students at the seminaries as well. Thank you so much for what you've shared so far. We're going to have more with Marta Spangler and more about Gettysburg Seminary and the Crossroads campaign after we take a short break. Welcome back to Lutherans Alive. We continue our conversation with Marta Spangler, who is a deployed staff person for the Lutheran Theological Seminary at Gettysburg. And the seminary at Gettysburg is an interesting campus community. How many people right now are currently students at the seminary?
Well, we have over 200 students who are sort of a full-time equivalent student. And what that means is that we obviously have students who cannot be on campus all the time, who do their course study part-time. And so it's difficult to always figure out how many people are there. But in addition to students, as you mentioned before, we sometimes have folks who are doing a second career. So that means that they also have their family there, plus spouses, children. So the seminary community itself is a very vibrant place filled with lots of people. And we have various housing to accommodate that too. We have housing that's dormitory style, meant for a single student who might be straight out of university study, or we have apartments and other larger facilities for folks who are bringing their whole family with them as they continue on an education and a change of career.
And the chapel of the Abiding Presence is a very formidable structure there on the seminary campus, and a place where the students and faculty and staff can worship daily chapel services as well.
Yes, that is certainly a big part of the life on campus, and I would say we have a crowd of people every day right before lunchtime that gather together to worship with one another. Faculty, staff, students, the whole community comes together at that time and it enjoys the opportunity to worship together, which is, I think, our most important classroom on campus.
And then there are some who have the opportunity to share a meal together in the building across the street at the refectory. If we're just getting a little peek into the life of a seminarian and a seminarian's family, those are the sort of things that go on every day, every week at the seminary.
Every day, and I think that it would make Lutherans proud to know that meal times and of course the celebration and fellowship that comes with that is something that is upheld on campus in many ways. During the lunchtime hour when the largest number of folks are eating together, but also in the events that extend into the evening, ways that people can gather together around tables and share time together is a really important part of the seminary community.
And typically on any given year, there are 3 classes of students on campus, but there may be many others who are out doing their internship, their field education experience for a year. That's a part of the seminary curriculum as well. Could you say a word or two about the field education experience where students are out sort of learning, sort of getting that hands-on experience that you don't get in the classroom?
Although seminary takes most students 4 years to complete a Master of Divinity degree, like you said, we only have 3 of those classes present with us at any given time. And so typically students will serve an internship year during their 3rd year of seminary, which means that they are usually off campus. In some cases they're across the country, all over the world. And then those students gather back together for their final year of seminary and get to share some of those experiences that they've had in their internship congregations. And so I see this in many ways as a really strong example of how not only is the seminary a huge and formative part of a pastor's learning experience, but also the congregations that host all of our students during that 3rd internship year become a really strong part of a pastor's journey as they make their way towards graduation and towards following a call to ministry. And so it really becomes the work of the whole church to educate a pastor, which I think is important. And also I think that what that means for the community is that you really have transition, and so the time that is available for students to be on campus together becomes a really strong part of their memory and of the community that they have together as they go from that place and continue to serve. And our alum end up, of course, all over the world, all over the country, and many of them right here in southwestern Pennsylvania.
it always struck me that that field education was such an important part of the seminary experience, whether it was working in a congregation or being a chaplain at a hospital for a summer or in a clinical setting, or the teaching parish arrangements that are that students have with local congregations there in that area. Those are very important parts of the seminary experience. And in the classroom, it seems to me that a number of aspects of parish ministry are covered, including biblical studies, of course.
Of course.
And worship and pastoral care and theology, all of those things that are covered in the classroom. Church history. I don't want to forget anything. I've got to remember all of those things that we learned so long ago. But those are all important parts of the seminary experience. And that education is so important, and all of that sort of leads us to talk about the Crossroads campaign. Now, for the seminary, for the building up of the seminary, could you say a few words about the purpose and the goals of the Crossroads campaign that you're a part of right now?
Absolutely. The Crossroads campaign is really a comprehensive campaign for Gettysburg Seminary. And what that means is that we're including all sorts of different pieces that are necessary to support theological education. Right now, the tuition for a student is a little over $12,000, and that really only represents about 25% of the cost of a true seminary education. And so the seminary really relies on the generosity of synods, of congregations, and of individuals in order to make up that difference. And the Crossroads campaign has 3 focuses in the Southwestern Pennsylvania Synod. The first being our campus development piece. As we were talking about the chapel earlier, which is our most important classroom, that climate control system was actually grandfathered in. It's about 100 years old, even though the chapel is not that old. But one of the ways in which we seek to be good stewards of what we've been given, we're going towards geothermal for our chapel and looking to eventually piece together different parts of campus as a part of that system. And so we'll be trying to raise money and awareness about geothermal and transfer on campus, and as well we want to make the seminary chapel handicap accessible, because currently it's really not accessible. So those are two major goals for our campus development piece in the near future. The second piece of the campaign is the Theological Education with Youth program that I mentioned. We are hoping to endow this program so that it really can continue strongly. It's been funded so far by a Lilly Endowment grant, and so we wish to endow that so we can continue that program and sustain it on its own. And I know that that's been a really transformative experience for youth who've had the opportunity to do that. And we're looking for ways to bring theological education with youth to southwestern Pennsylvania so that more youth would be able to participate in that. And that, I think, is a really exciting possibility. The last piece of the campaign is scholarship funding and support. And that, I think, is the foundation for our greatest need at the seminary, which is to support those who feel called to public ministry, so that cost of education doesn't become a barrier for someone following that call. And so we're raising up scholarship giving as a part of the campaign in order to make sure that we can make that accessible to anyone who feels called to public ministry.
It's good to hear about such a good campaign for such a good cause. We're going to hear more about that after we take another short break, and we'll be back with Marta Spangler here on Lutherans Alive. Welcome back to Lutherans Alive. We are here with Marta Spangler talking about the ministry of the Lutheran Seminary at Gettysburg and the Crossroads campaign. So how is the Crossroads campaign going? I understand you're out among the congregations in our synod, and can you say a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I'm contacting congregations every day, asking them if I can come pay a visit and find out more about their ministries and let them know about what's happening at Gettysburg Seminary. If people are interested in information, they can go online to our Crossroads website. They can get a link either on Gettysburg Seminary website or also off of the Southwestern Pennsylvania Synod website. It's available as well.
It's so good that we keep those connections with our schools, our seminaries, our colleges, universities, our institutions here in our Lutheran Church here in southwestern Pennsylvania and around the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. And that's good. So how has it been for you, Marta, this journey that you've been on? How long have you been in this position, and how long do you expect to be in this position? And what's it meant for your own faith journey?
Well, this is a very recent position for me. I started this fall, but I will say that I've had a much longer relationship with Gettysburg Seminary in far as my own experience there, and I would actually credit growing up in that community and being surrounded by so many leaders of the church and being able to worship with so many people who are constantly engaging a young person in conversation about their own faith. And so it's been a very wonderful transition for me to be able to work for Gettysburg Seminary and no longer just be on the periphery of the community. And so that's been very exciting. In my own faith journey after I graduated from college, I served with the Young Adults and Global Mission Program, and I carried out that year of service in the Holy Land. And so I was one of the young adults that got to greet the bishops of the ELCA and the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Canada when they came on their visit in the winter time of that year. And that was a very formative experience for me as a young person, being able to serve on behalf of the church, but also to see so many church leaders and see the work of the church in the world, which was a very exciting thing for me. And I was looking for ways to come back to Pittsburgh after that experience. I had been a student at the University of Pittsburgh, and so I'd fallen in love with the Pittsburgh area and really wanted to return. And so I spent a year serving with AmeriCorps, wanting to balance not only serving globally but also serving in a local community. And so I took the opportunity to do that at North Hills Community Outreach in the North Hills of Allegheny County. And so when that year ended this past summer, I was searching for a new position, and this opportunity came up, and that was really something that I absolutely said yes to overwhelmingly, just based on my own experience with the seminary and how important it has been in my own journey. And I credit it in many ways as being the reason that I have stayed in the church as a young person. There are not many young adults in the church these days. But I see it as a place that has given me hope and strength and support all through my own journey, and I'm excited to be able to give back in some way to represent the seminary and to be doing the work of the church in a new capacity. So it's very exciting for me.
Seems like such a good fit for you, and it just happened just at the right time, and the Holy Spirit can work that way. And in some ways, that's what the theological education experience is all about. Finding one's calling, or hearing that calling to go and serve, and how wonderful it is that that someone like yourself is so willing and so eager to serve the seminary in this way, to serve the larger church in this way. It sounds like you've had quite a few experiences up until this point, and I'm sure that there are more to come. More hopes for the seminary, more hopes for the Crossroads campaign for you. What do you hope to see in the future for the Crossroads campaign and for the Gettysburg Seminary?
Well, I have to say that for me as a young person, I'm really excited to see the trend at Gettysburg Seminary moving towards younger pastors. I see that as a really hopeful moment for the church. But at the same time, the interesting part about this year's class that we've been calling the bookend class, we have half of our class under the age of 30, the other half of the class is over the age of 50. Not many people in the in-between, and some of that I imagine is economic reasons and not wanting to uproot families at this challenging time. But also what I see is that you get a wealth of diverse opinions in the classroom. folks who are coming, straight out of an undergraduate experience, but folks who've also had the opportunity to work in all sorts of different backgrounds who are coming on campus together. And that diversity makes me really hopeful for the future of the church. And so when I look at the seminary community, I see many things to be excited and hopeful and grateful for. As far as the campaign and what happens here, I really hope that stronger relationships can be built, building on the traditions that are already in place, but also just to be present with one another in ministry, I think is really important. So I hope that I can provide that while I'm here. My time with the campaign will be until the end of July of 2011, and at that point we will be engaging other synods in campaign, and so I will personally move on from this position, but I hope that this builds bridges in ways that we will be able to continue in the future.
I have no doubts that you will find another way to serve. Indeed, you will be called to go somewhere else and serve well. Thanks so much for being on the program with us today, and we're thankful for the strong tradition of theological education at the Gettysburg Seminary and our other ELCA seminaries. Thank you for being with us today on Lutherans Alive. We know that from wherever you are watching, in your community or near your community, there is a congregation of Lutheran Christians. Come and worship with us. Until next time, see you on Lutherans Alive.